Properties of real numbers. This chart shows the different properties of real numbers. The first one is the commutative property of addition. This property says that if you change the order when you are adding, it does not affect the sum. So the rule is a plus b equals b plus a. So for an example, if I do 15 plus 6, it should equal the same as 6 plus 15. So 15 plus 6 is 21, and 6 plus 15 is also 21. The next one, commutative property of multiplication, is the same rule as above except for when multiplying. If you change the order when you multiply, it does not affect the product. So a times b equals b times a. So for example, that would mean 2 times 8 equals 8 times 2. And we could check that because 2 times 8 does equal 16, as does 8 times 2. The next two are the associative properties. We have one for addition and one for multiplication. And what this says is if we change the grouping when adding or multiplying, it does not affect the sum. So if I have first in parentheses a plus b, then I add c, it's the same as if I were to add b and c first and then add in a. So we can check that with our example. So 3 plus 5 would be 8. If I add that to 4, I'll get 12. If I look at the other side of the equation, 5 plus 4 would go first, which is 9, and 3 plus 9 is 12. The associative property of multiplication does exactly the same thing. If I were to multiply a times b first, then times c, I would get the same answer if I multiplied b and c first and then multiplied a. So let's look at an example. 4 times 7 in parentheses times 2 would equal 4 times and then 7 times 2 in parentheses. So let's see, 4 times 7 is 28, and 28 times 2 is 56. If I check over here, 7 times 2 is 14. 4 times 14 is also 56. The last property that we're going to cover is the distributive property of multiplication over addition. This means that multiplication will distribute over the addition. So if we look at a and then in parentheses b plus c, we multiply a times b and a times c. Again, we can check that with an example. So 3 plus 9 in parentheses is 12, and 2 times 12 is 24. If we distribute, it would be 2 times 3 and 2 times 9, so we can check that too. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 9 is 18, and we do get 24 again. So we're going to look at some examples. The first type of example is we're going to name the property illustrated. So on this one, I first look and see I have parentheses, so it could be distributive, it could be associative. Okay, sometimes there's other ones in disguise, so we just got to be careful what we're looking at. So here, I have 6 plus 2 in parentheses plus 7. In the second side, all the numbers are in the same order, but what's in parentheses has changed. So this is the associative property of addition. So you do need to tell me of which one, multiplication or division. This one right here, 4 times 9 equals 9 times 4. It looks like I just switched the order. So that is the commutative property of, and since we're multiplying, it will be multiplication. Part C, I have 2 times x plus 6 equals 2x plus 2 times 6. It looks like I'm distributing, So this is going to be this distributive property over addition. The next one we've got to be careful with. It looks like it could be distributive property because I have a number times a parentheses, but if you notice the right side is also a number times parentheses, so that means something else is changing. It's not distributive. If you look what's inside the parentheses, you will see that they switched order. So y plus 8 equals 8 plus y, and then they're both multiplied by 3. That's going to end up being the commutative property of addition. Okay, our next example is we're going to use the property to finish the equation. So we're not solving, we're just using the property. So the first one, commutative property of addition. So commutative, remember we're just going to switch the order. So this would end up being 9 plus 3x. Part B, associative, remember, is change the grouping. So I'm going to keep my numbers in the same order, but I'm going to group the first two instead of the last two. The last one, distributive property of multiplication over addition. I'm going to multiply the 10 times each part, so 10 times 13 plus 10 times y. And we can clean this up a little bit. 10 times 13 is 130 plus 10y.